Hello. Huh. Is the microphone okay? There's just like... Hold on. I've noticed the microphone is like, I don't know what it's called, vibrating with stuff way more. Hold on a second. Alright, it should be better now. Okay, so when I was looking through this, I started looking at the wind code, and I was like, oh wait, you can't access any of the wind data in Unity. Like, all of this is built into the terrain, but what I actually want is to be able to process wind. So what I think I'm gonna do is I'm actually going to build in wind attributes into here, into the cartoon lighting data. So I might bake it into the sphere lights, because So that's the other thing, is I'm actually just thinking, just no wind, just not doing wind. But wind would be a very cool thing to have. See, that is the thing though, is when I'm adding these attributes here, I almost need to like think about wind, because I need to fit them in here. So I think for the wind values, I would want a 3D position as the wind source, and then wind frequency and wind wind magnitude. So I guess I could actually put them in the W components of the sphere lights. So like I could do 13.W, or wait, no, 14.W is wind origin X, 16.W is wind origin Y, 18.W is wind origin Z. I'm just thinking, I almost feel like not doing wind. It's like something I can add in afterwards like this. Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna... See, this is a conflicting thing because it's something that Unity is built in, but I don't think Unity's wind is that good because it has like this weird... You use wind zone for trees, but then you use terrain wind settings for grass, and they don't match up. So it's kind of conflicting. So I'm thinking doing a coherent wind system like this would be way better.
One, two, three, go.
Alright, well, I don't think I'm going to do wind at the beginning. I think I'll add wind whenever I feel like it. I guess I can just put it in the W components of the spheres. I don't need to allocate any new data. So, I think the terrain detail shader is good. We've got shadows and we've got all that. I guess we just need to do billboards now. Oh yeah, I forgot. Uncomment the clip.
I'm a freak, 'cause I'm nasty.
Okay, I should look at changing that, what textures used. Why is it cut off halfway? Yeah, why is it like cut off at the bottom? Oh my god, wait, does it multiply by the vertex color in the original shader here? Color equals texture. Wait, no. Texture times big color. Alpha equals 1. Oh. So in.color times equals A. Oh yeah, so it only... no, never mind. It multiplies by the input color here. So this should also clip. Maybe in.color isn't actually the color. Text for color. No, it's literally the vertex color. This doesn't make sense.
You know what?
Okay, but in this one, it actually doesn't have
Bullshit that's going on.
multiplication by the color. Okay, so I'm just gonna try.
I just want to feel free.
I got like a fruit fly flying around my face.
Don't you like that? As long as you're not in my room,
So I think maybe just multiplying afterwards.
so your problem. Why you get mad because I'm doing what I want to do? Because I'm just a freak like that.
There we go.
I just want to feel
That actually looks pretty nice. Like obviously the shadows aren't the best, but it's rendering properly. Yay! Alright. Now to do billboard shaders.
I'm a freak because I'm nasty. Freak nasty.
I wonder why setting the shadow bias didn't work here. Actually, I want to try this again. Maybe doing define shadow bias. It doesn't make sense that I wasn't able to set this. So there we go. Now that works, but then when I do float shadow bias equals 1, this doesn't work, does it? No, it doesn't. Very interesting. So I'm actually going to change my terrain code to use that too, just in case.
I'm a freak because I'm nasty.
Oh wait, I put it into the terrain properties. Never mind. Oh. Wait, I just realized. The add pass. Does the add pass take the same property? Hold on. We need to do an experiment. If this add pass has the same shadow bias. I should set an option to have the directional light follow the current rendering camera. That would be a really smart thing to do. Yeah, actually I think I'm gonna do that. That would make things so much easier. Just try and get some of these bias issues to show up. Oh, the add pass isn't casting. Oh my god, this is literally a different part of map. Wait, this doesn't make sense. Why does this not have shadows? I think it does, they're just very small. It's almost like this isn't casting shadows. Is that just like huge shadow bias or no? I think there's actually a bug. Terrain add pass, terrain depth pass, clip -1, diffuse equals 0. Let's see if this fixes it. Oh, very interesting. Clip isn't working. Clip isn't working for whatever reason. Huh. Why would clip not be working? Shader clip doesn't work. Q alpha test. Why would clip still output? So let's try clip -1. Okay, weird, so that works. So is it 2 if defines that break it? If def terrain add pass. Def pass. Has multi-compile depth pass on. Maybe I'll try doing 2 if defines. Huh, so weird. I guess maybe clip doesn't work in calling functions. I'm actually really curious about this. If does clip work at all here? Okay, clip definitely works. So I guess it's the if def here. How would I debug this? If not depth pass, output diffuse. So it looks like it isn't even registering if def terrain add pass. Oh my god, I am stupid. I am stupid. I don't define terrain add pass before, oh my god, before the includes. And I guess depth pass isn't defined either. All right. So I guess I'm going to change the format. Oh, output parameter not completely initialized. Okay. So I guess what I'm gonna do, I think I'm gonna do this outside of the add pass. I actually should do a thing for clipping. It's gonna return true if clipped. Did I close the terrain shader? I guess I did. Hey, said who? How are you doing? Diffuse not completely initialized. So when I return from this, I need to actually initialize the values. Okay. Good, how about you? Pretty good. I think I'm gonna do a lot better once I have this this render pipeline ready in Unity. It makes writing shaders so much easier. So now I just need to write the shaders for basic stuff. Like right now I'm doing terrain. As you can see, my terrain, oh, now it has proper shadows. And it's saying use of potentially uninitialized, but it looks like, I guess I can initialize it here. And so the cartoon render pipeline is basically the most easiest basic bitch pipeline you can get. It's forward rendered, one directional light, it's the only light that can have shadows, and 16 sphere lights that can't have shadows. So one of the issues I immediately figured out is that Unity does this thing, I don't know how to explain it. Actually, it's not really showing here. Yeah, there's no AA in the editor. There's actually AA in the game view. If I turn it on under anti-aliasing, 1.3k FPS. It's kind of hard to see behind the chat, but oh, now after I say that, it goes down to 1k, of course. We're messing with the ray tracing. Nope, this is like the complete opposite of that. This is like, if you actually want to make a game, you don't want to make a tech demo that looks the nicest and has the nicest ray tracing. This is like, make a game that runs fast, but the graphics still look decent. Alright, so I don't know how to show this again, but like, there's like still things to do. So right now the directional light is fixed, but I should have this follow the camera, is what I should actually do. Alright, so now you can see the directional light covers a huge area, and you can see these shadow bias errors. And so to understand why these errors are actually there, you need to look at the terrain. Up close it looks really smooth, but if you notice as I go away, it actually like changes. I don't know if you can see, but it actually flickers on and off there. Hold on, you can actually see it more if I turn up this pixel error. Okay, so this basically changes how much error, or like how much error in the level of detail there is. So the issue is when it renders the shadow and it renders up here, it's actually using the low resolution terrain, which is kind of okay. It's not a huge deal, but it basically means that our shadow doesn't match up. So I can turn the pixel error down to 1 and you can see it's really accurate, but it's not nearly as efficient because it has way higher polygons. And so then when I enable shadows, even with the pixel error of 1, you can see there's these are shadow bias errors. It's like where the shadow doesn't completely match up. So I put in dithering instead of a smooth shadow because I kind of like the way it looks, and because it's a cartoon render pipeline, this dither frequency. So the dithering is designed, it's a circle dither. So it's designed to look cartoonish. So if I do like a small frequency of 30, so if you actually see in the shadow, it's got the circle dithering pattern. Which I think is very cartoonish, especially like you see here on the edge of the box. It's like if you're going for like a custom cartoon look. And so the thing is, like, this is just the default I built in. I can always like go in and change this. See, it kind of looks like an issue here, but that's what shadow bias is for. That's what shadow bias is for. Anyways, shadows are really complicated. Like, there's so many little things that you need to mess around with shadows. So anyways, for normal objects, you actually don't need that much shadow bias. Like, you can see here on like the cube, you can get, if you have dithering at 0, you can basically get away with 0.3 shadow bias, like a nice small shadow bias. The issue with raising shadow bias is as you raise it, you can actually see the shadow goes back from the object. And on smaller objects like the sphere here, it eventually, like, if you notice, like, the shadow doesn't actually pop up behind the object anymore. So it's like classic shadow bias errors. Anyways, when you do this on the terrain, shadow bias errors pop up anyways, because I don't know, it's the way terrain works. So I actually, when I was going in, is I had to mess with, where is it? I added a shadow bias option to the terrain, so you can scale up the shadow bias for just the terrain. So now the terrain looks perfect, still casts shadows. Still casts shadows, but no shadow bias errors. And so this seems like a stupid simple thing, but there was no way to do a per terrain shadow bias option in the built-in Unity render pipeline. Like, this seems so stupid and such a small thing. Like, it's a single shadow bias value just for terrain. So key. So key. Now you can have low shadow biases on like small objects and regular objects, and it's the little things, you know? But then I was dealing with issues where it has a custom depth pass, and the terrain uses an additive pass to do more than 4 layers, and so then that was messing with the depth. It's like going and doing a simple thing like terrain and then realizing, oh man, there's all these little things in Unity. But at the same time, it's like, it's just about making making it actually usable and just quick to throw together with games. Oh yeah, I want to show you this. I've never seen an engine with a realistic point light, or sorry, realistic sphere light. Like, Unreal's is pretty good, but okay. So look at the attenuation on the light. So you see how it's a small light and the attenuation is kind of like sharp here? Like it goes from like almost flat to like a small gradient. So when you make the light bigger, the light actually gets brighter. A bunch of engines don't do this. If you make the light bigger, it doesn't get brighter. And you see the gradient now? See how it's a full gradient? So I actually went through, so if you're talking about ray tracing, this is technically based off ray tracing. I went in, look at this. So this is one of the big projects this is one of the things one of the few things I've consistently worked on for like 2 to 3 years. And I started this back when I tried to do a real-time path tracer, is I realized that none of the BRDFs, like GGX or anything, actually match up with path tracing. So hold on, I gotta change this. So immediately what I did is I set up a little test ground, and I'm like, alright, I'm gonna make a BRDF that matches path tracing. And so what I did was I was like, alright, well, lights have shapes. So what I immediately realized is that the huge problem with modern BRDFs is they're based around point lights. And point lights aren't realistic. There's nothing that has no radius but emits light. It doesn't exist if it has no radius. So you have spheres. So what I did was I threw together a path tracer, and then I went through and I found an equation that matched up with the path tracer, or at least roughly. You can see actually the umber or whatever it is here, the gradient is a bit off, like it's not perfect, but this is still, oh my god, I just realized it's being blocked by the chat. But basically, I went and found a very simple, it's still based off the Lambert lighting. You can see right here, it's the same sort of inverse square attenuation, and then you just change the dot product range based off the attenuation. So even though this is a cartoon render pipeline, it's actually based off like what I think is realistic lighting is path tracing. So even though it's all diffuse lighting, I honestly feel like this is one of the most accurate diffuse lighting models I've ever used. Because as you see, when the light gets smaller, it gets darker. When it gets bigger, it gets brighter, which is actually how it should work. And then when it's a small light and you make it very bright, you get this flat shading. Life hack, mix many point lights in one with different radiance to have gradients mixed. I've tried that, it doesn't work that great. Especially in Unity where you can only have 4 point lights per object most of the time. So also, if a bunch of times you like actually want to change attenuation of an object, so you can actually change the attenuation rate based off the size. So it actually attenuates slower if you make the object bigger. Which is like, there's a bunch of times where you actually want to change attenuation scale. Oh my god, can you? Okay, thank god. I was like, Unity, you're gonna let me set HDR values higher than this, right? So then you can see like, yeah, the point light is way sharper. It's very interesting. But like the idea of just doing something like a sphere light, simple but very, very effective and doing it well. Program is a huge rabbit hole. It's like a, it's infinite. It's like the whole thing of like the majority of programs and ways that you can write code don't run and won't even compile. So like, your odds of even writing a program that works is just not good. Yeah, that's supposed to be grass. I'm messing around with the grass shaders. That's what I'm doing next. Where is it? Terrain detail shader. I need to do billboard grass now. If I turn this to billboard, it'll break. I'm actually thinking I might go and make this directional light follow the camera right now. Because I keep going and saying I need the directional light to follow the camera, and I should do it. Problem is most programmers are implementation focused and hardly any are theory focused, so of course it's going to be a cesspit. I mean, I would argue a huge issue is actually the opposite, is that a majority of stuff you'll find on the internet is actually theory, and you go and actually apply it, and a bunch of stuff from tutorials these days don't even work. Like, they're fucking theory, and the implementation is shit when you actually try it. I think I'm just gonna add an option here that just says follow main camera. See, this is the complicated thing though. If you move the light constantly and you have shadows, you actually get a sort of flickering of the shadow texels moving across objects. So I feel like if it's following, I need to actually figure out quantization of the shadow map. Like move it. I think by flooring the camera position based off the shadow range and the shadow resolution, or like the shadow texels per world position, I can stop the flickering. We'll see. Try it. Theory is also important, like especially at a low-level theory in regards to complexity and performance, but a lot of information on the internet or books is all theory, no practice. Yeah, that's the thing that I've always said, is it's like practice is just so much different than what you read and doing that. Like, okay, like, I can't explain, like, I could go and read like 10 books and it would not, and then go and actually try to write programs and code, and it's still, me trying to write code for an hour would teach me what reading 10 books could teach you, because like, it's just like, I don't know how to explain it. I think it's the induction probably. Like, you actually need to make an attempt before you even begin to deduce stuff. You actually need to make the active, like the active action of inducing something before you view the problem. What you get from practice is trying to fit patterns to the algorithm. Books don't tell you how to write the best algorithm for a problem. Lots of useless science with no examples. I'm not going to waste time for it unless I paid for it. Yeah. So I'm trying to think, how do I want to do this? I was gonna do an update call right here, but I'm actually thinking what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go in the render pipeline code. And the part where I set up the directional light here, this is where I'm gonna check if, yeah, so I can update the transform and everything here. If follow main camera And then here we can also check if it's the editor or not. So when it's playing, we follow the main camera. When it's not playing, we're going to follow the scene camera. Yeah, lots on SIGGRAPH 2021 Epic released PDF info about their new nanite. Really reading it now. I saw that posted on Said Who. I think Puncher posted that on your Discord. Anything interesting in it? I gotta be honest, I feel like a bunch of this stuff doesn't carry over to games. Like I was saying how a bunch of Unreal Engine games are very slow. And, like, I feel like a bunch of this stuff makes really pretty tech demos. But it doesn't necessarily make really good games. Like, I think about Borderlands 3 and how much of a clusterfuck that is on the Unreal Engine. You could just argue that's Gearbox's fault, though, I guess. Alright, I'm just gonna Google how do I get the camera? Unity get editor scene camera. Oh, it's probably scene view. Now everyone can invest millions of dollars just to make engine corporations that may end up like Amazon. God, I hope not. I feel like Frostbite is probably actually one of the strongest engines right now in terms of actually making games that are beautiful and actually run on things like consoles. But I've heard it's horrible to develop with Frostbite, and I don't think it's really an open engine anyways. Let's see if this works. Frostbite devs hate to work with it, I hear, and read lots of stories. Well, yeah, that's the thing. That is the thing, isn't it? Okay. Alright. So now maybe I need to turn the gizmo off. Okay, this is actually nice. So now the shadows follow me wherever I go. Very nice. And then if I turn it off, Okay, so this is the flickering I was talking about. When the shadow texels get moved across, it creates flickering. So you can actually kind of see the shadow texels sliding across. So what I'm gonna try to do is I remember I had a technique for this before when I did game dev in Unity, back with Unity's. This happens if you do this in the Unity engine too. If you, like, I bet this would happen in Unreal. It's just the way shadow maps work. If you set the directional light directly to the camera, it happens. It slides across. But if you quantize and floor the position, I believe you can match it, get it to line up with the texels. So let's try that. And I guess following the camera only matters if there's shadows enabled. So I'm only going to do that if shadows are enabled. And then let's look at flooring this. What's most important is knowing what data organization and algorithm to use practically to best solve the problem. There's the opposite problem where you know a bunch of data structures and algorithms. Yeah, that's basically going to be what AI is to meet some goal, figure out the best order of operations to, like, transform some data to meet the actions towards the goal. But especially when you're exploring new areas, basically all you can do is, like, try different things. And that's what books kind of don't teach you to do. Because it's kind of something you could just do, you can really only do yourself, I think. Is there a vector 3 floor? No, there isn't. Okay. I've been working way longer than I expect on this shaping library. Man, I told you at the beginning, fonts are like, it's a whole programming language. Just doing fonts. Okay, so now calculating the texel size is a whole other thing. So shadow range divided by shadow resolution. I wonder if it's actually this easy. The shadow range is the world space. Shadow resolution is the number of pixels. Total area divided by size should give me it. I think I might add vector 3 floor to my utility functions. Or round. I think I might just do floor because you can actually simulate round and seal by adding to floor, I believe. theory is fine, but in practice, not all calculations are instant. Also, it seems, yeah, in math theory, you can deal with infinities. Like, talk about unrealistic. In math, they don't take into account architectures, timings, etc., data types. Yep. But then that math is used to justify a bunch of programming decisions. So that's why you have to take everything into account, not just theory. Even knowing the time complexity of an algorithm can be misleading. Yeah, dude, or knowing that like a solar flare is gonna hit and that like if you write code that doesn't check 100 times over and be insanely redundant whether or not something actually happened, your code's just gonna get broken by cosmic rays. Or like chaos, depending how you look at it. It's like context matters. Imagine that. Okay, let's see if that works. Nope, no, it's still flickering. I feel like it's a slight bit better, but having two text editors open is really confusing me. Too idealistic many times, even myself. Talking about myself. We lack practicality in general. I don't know. That kind of reminds me of this video about Dubai being a really stupid idea that I watched. Oh, I need to convert to the shadow. I need to convert to the position relative to the shadow. I only need to quantize the X and Y relative to the shadow's orthographic camera. I think I figured it out. So wait, where is Oh, I guess I can use the forward, right, and up to compute. Okay, I'm getting this. So I need to calculate from the light's position. What's there in Dubai? Literally nothing, just for people to go there and show off and buy stuff or whatever. Are there any interesting, important companies there? Not really, if I recall correctly. They're just rich. Well, yeah. And from what I got from seeing it is that it's insanely corrupt, like rules for thee but not for me. Like they'll put people in jail for alcohol, but then like a bunch of the actual like wealthy and royalty people from there will have got caught with alcohol, and it's just like, oh, they're just being princes and shit. Basically, like, that's some serious corruption, dog. If like people can basically be enslaved and have their passports taken away over things that are practically like impossible to prove, and then those same rules aren't applied to the royalty and rich, like, holy shit, dog. I feel like maybe transform direction is what I'm going for, but it's called like Dubai, a monument to man's arrogance or something. Wait, is it actually called that? Dubai is a parody of the 21st century. Saudi Arabia also abuses foreign workers. They call them animals, etc. I think it's pretty similar. Maybe they're the same country, they just have different names. So I can't use the local to world matrix from this because it might have an incorrect scale. Unity axis rotation matrix. I wonder if I can just access the rotation. So maybe I can apply the I think I can apply the rotation backwards. Wait, do I need to invert the quaternion? Do the backwards rotation? And corrupt Arab regimes is a long discussion. It's true. Yeah, I guess quaternion.inverse is my option. Oh, I gotta quantize and then I need to actually rotate back. So it actually makes me need both. Cannot apply. Okay, there we go. So this should convert relative to camera space. So then this is where we quantize. And I guess I only need to quantize the X and Y, but going to do all three anyways, and then we apply the quaternion back to rotate it back. Let's see if this works. Oh, and I multiplied by 2 there when I don't need to. I want to ask something about lookup tables. Any idea how to make lookup tables fast? I have like, what do you mean? What kind of lookup table? Oh my god, look, it's working. Look. Look. There's no shadow flickering. Look at that. It moves with the camera and the shadows don't flicker at all. Beautiful. Hail the Shadow Lord. Should I just do hashing? So it's like, what are you trying to look up? Because when I think of lookup tables, I literally just think of accessing an integer, accessing a table index with an integer, and maybe interpolating between them. Alright, I'm so happy with that. This just makes things so much easier now. Now we can just like have a light that follows us around and have shadows. And it'll just work. Just turn that off if we want. Set it ourselves. Hail the Shadow Lord. Alright, now I can do this grass as well. Yeah, go get some water as well. I have a table for Arabic shaping. I have a table holds code point, like joining type. Go through linearly and compare. What are you comparing? Position or Epic PDF interesting. I'm just half of it worth checking. Do you know if there's a video presentation to go along with it, AEM? I would love to watch a video on stream. I don't know about going through a PDF though. And there's like 2 million possible code points, or like a lot. So it's too big to just do in a table. So like normally what you're able to do is like sparse tables. Like if there's like 2 million entries and they're all together, you could actually just create one big table if you're fine with the memory. But then there's like, you could, let's say you access like 100 of those code points 100 times. It's like the letters ABC in English. If you access a few of those million, way more, you can put those in a lookup table, so those are insanely fast. And if you get what I mean, it's like increasing your general performance. It doesn't increase every situation, but sometimes it's like the best you can get. So if you go through and see how a bunch of these are contiguous, like you have like nearly 100 here in a row, basically go through and split it into sections of tables. Oh my god, I scrolled past it. It's a really big file. Basically you go like, yeah, you scroll through and go, okay, all of these increment by like, you basically do a limit of like, when it increments by more than like 5 or whatever, it splits into a new table. Like if you get what I mean, it basically is like a memory cost. When one table becomes too padded or has too many jumps between it, you start a new table. And then maybe like there's a bunch that are really sparse and you just put those. But yeah, you could also do a hash map. But hash maps are a lot slower than lookup tables. I'll just say this, computers are so insanely fast these days, it's nuts to me that you can go and like in a bunch of code, I literally will go and just access a hash map and it's like insanely fast. But the hash map's actually searching through and iterating through like 10 values because there's a few hash collisions, and it still ends up pretty fast. Because computers are just awesome, dude. But yeah, this actually isn't that big. You could probably put that in a lookup table if you aren't too worried about memory. This is quite an interesting mashup song. Blend a set and sort by order. If it's not already, not sure it is. Increasing order, then do binary search every time into those segments. Yeah. It's like divide and conquer in a way. Think well about perfect hashing. That might be better to do. See, that's the thing. If it's like there's no such thing as perfect hashing. If it's like a one-to-one mapping, it's not a hash. So what do you mean by perfect hashing? Alright, so now I need to apply waving terrain grass billboard. Terrain billboard grass here. So I'm just going to copy this into my code. Okay, actually, let's look at what this does. Map one-to-one from an integer to an index within table without collisions. Yeah, so then it's an index, it's not a hash. So offset is the tangent. I think tangent is used by something. Doesn't look like it. Waving grass billboard vert. Waving grass vert. Terrain wave grass. What am I missing here? Objective function is a function that maps distinct elements to distinct elements. Yeah. That's a cool name too. Injective. So wave amount is tangent y. So I guess I need the tangent. How do I... Is that a thing? I think this is a thing. Oh, this is going to be missing parts of the terrain engine, isn't it? still need to make an actually good hash map. This would be a big problem solved, and I can expand that to any other table. Well, the issue after that would be that I'll have to initialize the library like having an init function makes it more complicated to use than init and dinit. Yeah. So you know what I've got in C core in my C engine? I really like this system. So it defines, so like the system info here, define a initialization function, and then you define it as this pre-main initialization. And so what you do is you call the previous pre-main initialization, if that makes sense. So you basically almost get like a linked list of defines, where then at the beginning of your code, it calls the pre-main initialization. So if you get this, you can basically define initialization for all your code in a function, and it'll just automatically get called at the entry point. So you don't need to like you don't need to have all your code connected and tell each other that this needs to be initialized or worry about manually initializing. I don't know how fast HarfBuzz is or anything. Wait, are you using HarfBuzz right now? Or are you replacing it with your own is what you're doing? I was just saying you could use a linked list of preprocessor defines to automatically call a whole list of initialization functions on your entry point or whatever. Does it actually change the color of the grass during waves? It's so weird. Max square distance. Camera right, camera up. I might try to implement this myself, because just having a billboard function would just be useful. So let me see, we could replace this with world space camera position. Wait. That's not world space position, is it? Waving grass, billboard vert, V. Vertex, beat up vertex. Okay, so I guess the camera position is actually relative to the object, so never mind. If you do that, you want it to be fast. There must be a point where you preload, like you either need to make segments from the table and do an optimized search in that, or a hash map, or just simply do a binary search. The values are sorted in increasing order. The only place I imagine that being done is in the shaping function. They have no need to call it in a function. Yeah, you can always just check a bool. It's always really fast. try this. Terrain, billboard, grass. I feel like just like that's the kind of issue as I was talking about with the main functions or main initialization. When you're like putting out a library like that, like HarfBuzz or whatever, it's kind of annoying to tell people, or like it's annoying for people to go, oh, I have to call this like HarfBuzz init or has my init or whatever at the beginning of your code, and if you don't call that, you get like errors or whatever. Instead, just making it, you just call the functions and it initializes it. But at the same time, that's really what you want to do in programming, is be able to just statically initialize. Alright. Let's see, I'm going to turn these to billboard. Let's see if they render correctly. Wait. This render pipeline does not have all detail shaders. Oh. Oh, it's putting a space between all of these. Oh my god. I guess I gotta click there. There we go. All right, so let's set it to billboard. Okay, they aren't rendering. Well then. Detail, billboard. Figure it out. You would still need to put a macro or something at the beginning of every API function so it will initialize just in case. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, the best thing is to actually just have a static initializer, I think. But for that, you need someone to call something. You need people to call either a function or like, so in my case, I was like, having multiple initializers at the beginning of your main function is really annoying. So I did this linked list define system where you register your pre-main initializers and then you call a single, it automatically calls a single initialization call on the entry point, and then that goes through your whole list of all your initializers for multiple libraries or whatever. Now, why is this not working?
Nightwolf.
Tangent, directional ambient occlusion. Terrain, billboard, grass. V dot tangent dot xy, V dot vertex. Did I do the wrong vertex? V dot vertex. Huh. No, that should work. I think I'll have an explicit call and a macro to tell you to automatically initialize. Yeah. Nice. What could it be? Maybe I need to... No, I have culling off. Huh. I guess I'll turn off clipping. I'm just gonna output the color. Basically just debug. It should also bug out shadows in the area, but it actually seems like nothing's being rendered. How is this different than this one? That's the question. Set up instance ID. Feed out vertex, feed out tangent. Render type opaque. Weaving billboard vertex. Terrain billboard grass. Takes in the vertex. Tangent XY. Yeah, this is all the same. Unless these aren't being loaded, I feel like this isn't loading. I'm just gonna try including Terrain Engine and see if that fixes it. Since it's a built-in CG include, this might actually be what it is. Nope. Nope. What could it be? Detail grass billboard. I wonder if this is showing up as the billboard for whatever reason. Let me check something. What did I put billboard under here? Grass billboard shader. Grass billboard shader, detail billboard shader. Yeah, so that should be. Huh. Okay, so let me try something. What if I don't apply billboard grass? Does it render anything? Doesn't render anything. Very interesting. What did I do to get this working last time? It has pretty much the exact same code. I don't know if that'll be a good strategy. That will. You can have both if you want. Like either the library will auto initialize after any API call, or you do it manually. Do it at the start. That's true. Okay, I'm just gonna try restarting the engine. What? They just showed up. They just showed up. What? What? They all of a sudden just appeared. So there's our billboard grass. There's the billboard grass. What was it that was breaking this? Interesting. The texture's bad. Yeah, this is one of Unity's UI textures. It's not a grass texture. It's a UI texture that I just decided to use for grass to test. Yeah, I guess this is how I Okay, it's kind of weird how these flip upside down, but I think that is the way it usually worked. Very happy that that works. What was I about to test? What was I about to test? Oh yeah, how are these being lit? Like, does lighting affect these? Oh, they use the terrain normal. Oh, that's actually really nice. Oh, beautiful. That's really good. So they just follow the lighting of the terrain. Oh my god. We're close. We're close. We're very close to the point where you can actually make games in Unity and not mess around with this. So I think there's like, you said it's a rabbit hole. I keep going, oh, I'm almost done, and then I figure out something else. But now I think, now that this is working, I gotta look through these defaults. So I can set a bunch of these defaults, or I should set a bunch of these defaults. Default material, default particle material, default terrain material. I should set all these. And then I need to do particle shaders. That's what I'm going to do next, actually, before I set these. And then this error that keeps bugging me in the console requires depth. I need to implement depth past for post-processing. So, oh my god. I am actually, like, pretty happy with what I've designed here. So, like, look at this. This is my favorite part of what I've designed so far. The post-processing system. Look at how simple this is. Apply post-processing. All it is, just blit, and this effect material is the shader you use. It's like a single function. That's all you need to implement to do post-processing in my cartoon pipeline. And if you say requires depth, it'll pass you a depth texture. Everything you need. Well, I guess not everything you need, but what you need for a basic cartoon pipeline. Alright, so I think I have a particle shader already listed. Where is it? Under custom render pipeline. Detail. Oh wait, no, I don't have a particle shader. Alright, this should be fun. We're gonna make a particle shader. Okay, so there's actually a few things we gotta do. Standard doesn't support transparency right now. So I'm gonna need to do a standard transparent and standard additive. And I think I can actually do a shader option for culling and stuff. I actually saw something about... Hold on, I actually want to check this. Is this just an option in any shader? It's like new material, debug. Do we have access to like culling? Z-Write, source blend, No, so it doesn't look like there's cull or whatever, but I think you should be able to change culling and stuff from there without making a new shader for each. Let me see. Expose shader culling in material editor. Here's the solution. Method works for blend mode, Z-Write, etc. Ooh, very nice. So I'm thinking for the standard shader, there's no reason to do cull mode. I think there's a variable to access that says if a face is flipped. Just thinking, I guess maybe toggling Z-test. I'm thinking if any of these would be useful for the standard shader. I feel like cull back would not be useful. Let's try it though. Yeah, so back culling has wrong. Okay, one sec. Let me look up as well. What's the default culling? Default. Okay. So I can't do. I guess I could actually do transparent here. But in the transparent, I actually think I should remove the depth pass, because if I have transparent and depth pass together, it'll cause errors. I don't know, maybe I'll just add all the options to the standard shader so you can just change them. This documentation's really bad. It actually doesn't list any of these options. Is there must be a list of material property enums. Oh my god, so it has the same... How do I set z-test and z-write? How do I do that with enum? Okay, you know what I need to do here? I need to go and look at Unity's standard shader because this is exactly what they do in the universal render pipeline. Here we go. Still, there's not info about it. God damn. So is cull mode a thing here? Okay, so compare functions is what I'm looking for there.
my rag. Run my city, you can ask my ops. Love my thoughts, your mouth like mops. Shirt, chains up in the drop. I spent 20 G's for a clock. Still see these out this. Still got in my ass and drown. Bitch, I'm from Kentucky, but this ain't no fucking Dixie chick. This is not Route 66. She said I'll take like 56. I'm way too selective for the folks that I get music with. She said that's a lie, boy, you a thot. Just left out the city, it was high. Think they fucking with me, but they not. I just can't stop, I'm about to buy my sword, drop shit.
Ah, so blend off isn't a thing. Off disables blending. So I guess there's no way to turn it off with this because there's no off option. Ah, so that is the issue. Is this needs to render in the transparent pass. Then at least I think. What does it do here? Render type opaque. So I wonder if it somehow automatically sorts it based off the alpha test or what? So I'm just wondering, how do I do Z right? Nice. Now we got an Uber shader. I kind of want to reset these to see what the default options are. But this seems like what I want. I wonder if there's a way to put space Unity shader properties space. SteamDB now shows used Steam game engines. That's actually really cool. Is there a space option? Ooh, space creates vertical space. Go.top 8. That's actually amazing. Is Unity like top 2? Okay. So yeah, if these are transparent, I need to put them in a different pass. Yeah, okay. Alright, so I'm gonna make this transparent shader different so that I can put it in a different pass. Yeah, I'm just wondering what options I want to do here. Like if it's additive as well, I'm gonna want to multiply the output by the alpha. Unity top 1 with 24,000 games. Got a top 8 with 314. That's still really good. So I think I can access color whatever in here still. Let me check. Undeclared identifier source blend. Yeah, maybe I will need to make different shaders for each blend mode. So I think I'm going to take these options out of here. But then the other shader that I do have them, I don't know if there's going to be any way for me to actually effectively check for like additive blend mode or pre-multiply. So it might actually be better. Better just doing it. I don't know. So like, I think I can actually access these values here, but I just don't think it's the most efficient. So I think we can check if source blend equals 1 and disk blend equals 1, then return green. Okay, so we can actually detect the blend mode. I'm just thinking, I feel like there's no reason for me to have the terrain shaders in these different cues. Like, there's literally no reason for it. So yeah, detecting like pre-multiplied blend mode and that stuff would not be easy. But then without that, additive blending doesn't work properly. I feel like I guess I'll do the particle shaders and then I'll decide. This is still really cool to have now and learn about. Alright, hold on, I'm gonna go get some water. I'll be right back. Alright, for whatever reason I'm out of motivation. So I think I'm gonna go for like an hour, and we'll see if I feel any more, I don't know. Whatever. I'll definitely be streaming again tomorrow. Whether or not I stream again tonight or whatever, we'll see. It's so weird, I was talking about this before, but it's like getting to the end of this cartoon render pipeline, it like slows my motivation. It's like so weird because it seems like, oh, a project is so big you should be scared of it at the beginning because it's like so much is in front of you. But with this it's more like, oh, I'm like bored by the little, like, doing a few particle shaders doesn't interest, like, I almost wonder if it's like it doesn't interest me as much because it's just particle shaders now, and when it's almost a big project like doing terrain and stuff at the beginning, it's more interesting. I don't know, we'll see. Anyways, thank you for watching. Hopefully in a day or two these streams won't be programming a render pipeline but programming a game. That would be nice. I hope everyone else is doing well. I'll see you around.